Hey, how's everybody doing? So I just thought I would do something real quick. I got all these different models I've made. I thought I'd show you all how to quickly show you how to do something with it. Let me find the right one real quick. I thought I had it loaded. So I made a bunch of different models, different different dummies at different times, and like this is Tony Cartney. I don't know if y'all know who he is. I'm sure y'all know him. He's the guy that makes all the motorcycles and stuff. But I've been working on a 3D head of his for him for his new vehicle he's working on, and uh, of course it's not going to move like this. That's just what I was doing with the skeleton, right? I thought it was kind of cool. It's like keyframes. Now what I want is just the top of the head here. Basically, we're going to rotate him around, and just keep in mind you can do this with anything pretty much. What works really well to do these is on Sketchfab's website. On their website, you can look up land. This guy here does some damn good stuff here. This feller, I've been following him, right? Because he's got all these amazing damn scans, and they're like, this is one I used in one of my videos. I mean, I didn't really spend a long time with it, but I got the model and I got it in Beam, and it was kind of like the backdrop of the flooded street. I didn't really get much time to do what I really wanted to do, which would be make that a destructible thing that falls and whatnot. But yeah, so this guy's got a lot of stuff. That would not work good though as a terrain block. Actually, nothing with a building would work well because terrain blocks aren't good for 90 degrees. It needs to be like a slope. If it's a slope, it'll work pretty much. See this guy here, he I don't know where he's at, but wherever he's got a damn good place to make models because there's a lot of nice stuff out there. I'm assuming he's got a drone and that's what he's doing, but he's taking the thing out and um, capturing a bunch of aerial video and making it into a 3D model, something like reality capture. I was trying to find one that I'd done a while back. It may not be his that I used. I know I used a few different ones from different people at different times. His seemed to be a lot of more city oriented. There was one though that was like a snowy mountain. Yeah, I don't think it's him. I know it's called Angel Island is one of them. That's not how you spell. It's Angel Island. What's that? Caught my eye. What is that? That's a rock. That's an ink pen. I know you probably think, man, what you gonna do with that? You could make a terrain block with that. Only problem is it's not gonna work good where it's cut in. Anywhere it's concaved, it's not gonna do well. But anywhere it's not, it will. But that's not the one I want to do. Let me go back. See if I can find it. I think it was in Australia. I'm pretty sure it was. This would not work well because it's got convex areas inside. This would be better to make this a full 3D model. with terrain block kind of blended in with it. See if I can get to his other stuff. I think it's him. Yeah, it is. It is. So this is one of them that I did. And this is another one that I did of his. And that's all he's got, unfortunately. These you don't have available for download, but I still did a 3D scan with reality capture and got them. But they didn't they didn't look that good as far as beam. Was it limited to what I could capture from looking at the model on the web page. So yeah, where this one is 90 degrees or whatnot, that didn't do good either. But all the other places, man, it did great. It did great. You know, I was going to use Tony's head, but you know what? And I'm looking at this thing. It's such a pretty map. Y'all want to just make this one? Yeah, I should just make this one. I was going to make a head, a human head as a terrain block, but I think I'll go with this. People are more interested in that. So let's download it. And I'll get the, well, if it's got an OBJ, I'll go ahead and get that one. And we'll open up the zip file. And it doesn't take that long to do. Really, it doesn't. It takes longer to explain all the steps than it takes to do it. So we open up these zips here. And we import them into Blender as importable OBJ. We can log out of that and let's just start a new project. Alright. Get rid of that stuff. Import OBJ. Downloads. Cape Lip Trap. Alright, there it is. Now it's going to be sideways. That's fine. I ain't surprised. We need to make it small. You know that mesh cube we had in the beginning? It needs to be about that size. Because the way the height map thing works, you get like a small area that it'll go from black to white for elevation. If it's beyond that, you're not going to get it all in there. I don't know how to change the scale of that. So the only way I know to get around it is to put the model about the size of that box. And you want to make it so at the bottom, what's ground is on the ground. That's where black is. That's the absolute lowest point. Anything above it is going to be wider, depending on the height. Alright, we'll get it centered up a bit. Alright, we'll apply all transforms. You can turn on texture view if you'd like. Now, from a top view, from a top-down view, make a camera. And then go off to the side and move it up. So it's looking down. Then go over to here and tell the view to show camera to view. Pick the camera and then go to the camera data thing and tell it to be orthographic. Change the scaling to 1:1. So I'm going to render 8K. I'm going to render 8K. And use Eevee, by the way. Don't use, well, you could use cycles, but damn, you'd be here all damn day waiting on 8K to render, man. Shit. Maybe them GT, maybe the RT 50 series, man. Maybe they'll do better at stuff like that, but it's kind of slow, man. These days and times ain't the best for rendering 8K. You really don't need 8K, but I'm making a video. I want it to look good. 4K looks alright. 2K is too small. You don't get enough information from 2K, so it wouldn't look good. You can shift the camera around by doing it this way, and you can change the ortho scale depending on how much you want to zoom into it. This is basically your overhead map. What you're doing now is taking a texture for the base terrain paint. So once you get it where you want it, render it. and save it. That's dark, isn't it? Because I forgot something. Go to the shader, pick the object while in shading, connect the color to the emission. Connect color to emission. Color to color in the emissions tab. Put it about 1. So it's like that. Now when you render it, it will not be like that. It'll be bright. It'll be bright like it is now. But you don't really want the shadows and stuff. You just really want this to be as base color as possible, you know. So we save this image, and you can save it as, go to your level that you want to put it in. I'm going to go to small grid. If you have not already, load small grid and go to world editor and click save level, so that in the user folder there'll be a levels folder with small grid in it. Now in the root of it here is where we're going to put the texture that we just rendered. I'm just going to call it texture 2. No matter what you call it, just call it something you know what it is. You're going to take off the compression, render RGB 8-bit. You don't need the alpha channel for this. Just 8-bit RGB and PNG, and save it. Now here's the only part that's kind of tricky in the whole process is in this shading tab where we were just at, we need to make a new one inside of here. So go to add input geometry, and then say add converter, separate XYZ, add converter, color ramp, add shader emission. Now what you're going to do is connect the position to the vector, the Z to the FAC, and then the color to the color, and then you can connect the emission to that thing over there, and you can see your height map. And we will render it. I don't think it matters in here what you set this to, but you're rendering it black and white 16-bit color with no compression. That's what you got to render. And it's a PNG. Alright. Now we're going to save it. Save as. I'm just going to overwrite this height map that's in here with this height map. Black and white, 16-bit. PNG, no compression. They said, well, I want to put compression on mine. Well, you're going to have a lot of noise on it. Because every little block makes a damn different elevation square thingy. You know what I'm talking about? Be like you're driving on sandpaper zoomed up really large. So load small grid or whichever one you're going to do. And what you'll need to do is well, I don't know what you need to do. You can do whatever you want to do. I was just trying to take you a break for a minute or something, but that'll be loaded up in no time. See, I already put a terrain in here. I already messed around a little bit with it, and I stuck a terrain in there, but let's get deleted that. So you'll see when you load it up, you'll see like the ground plane. You know, you got ground plane like you know, whatever one, you know, the game comes with, right? That's what you'll see. So I'll get it back to like you see it when you play. So the terrain. See, normally small grid don't have a terrain block. Also turn the fog off. You can turn it off in the level info. You can just put fog density 0. I don't much care for the fog in this game. I just don't really much like it, to be honest. I don't know, maybe it's fog in every game I don't care for, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of that either. But I don't know why the background does that without the fog. Why it's kind of warped up like that. But alright, go up here to terrain tools and say import terrain, and then pick first of all, put the meters per pixel at 0.5 or 0.2, depending on how detailed you want your stuff to be able to get to. The maximum height for that thing was probably about 200 meters, maybe less, maybe 150, but you can change it once you do it. Pick the height map image, the one that we just saved, that was rendered from the height map. It will be red if you saved it as a grayscale. That's correct. It's supposed to be that color. And then import. Now we did 8K, so the map's going to be 8K. But since we did 0.5 meters per pixel, it's really going to be a 4K map. Does that make sense? You get more density and more detail. You get a smaller paintbrush for painting and block manipulation and stuff. Now, you need to go to the terrain painter and tell it to turn on the terrain material library. And then once you're there, you'll upgrade your terrain materials. You'll scroll down through this thing and you'll say upgrade. Now you need to set your base texture size. If you rendered 8K like I did, you need to put 8K here for the base texture at least. So 8192 by 8192. As high as you can go. This game doesn't do 16K terrain paints. So 8K is the highest it'll do. Macro texture size, I'm just leave that for now. I'll come back to that later. You can change that later. But for now, you want to get that set in stone, right? Now the game starts with a new material. It starts with a test material. You can use that one, or you can just make a new one. I'm just going to make a new one and call it Island. And all we need to do is put this base color and this ambient occlusion base color in it. Since we do not have an ambient occlusion map, we're going to reuse the base texture. Levels, small grid, terrain, texture map. Which one is it? There it is. Oh, sorry. You got to add the material before you can add to it here. You see what I mean? I didn't hit that save. I didn't add it yet. I was still doing this stuff. You got to hit add before it'll put it here. Then you can add to the. I always forget that. Small grid. All right, that's the wrong one. That's the height map. There we go. Now copy this to your clipboard and paste it in the ambient occlusion base texture, and then save changes to file, and then add it over here. Once it's added here, you can then remove the warning material, but don't remove that until you add it first. If you remove that now, it's going to lock up the game. And since it will be now the only texture, you can remove the warning material and paint this all over it. Now I'm going to leave this like this just to show you all what this does. When we add this thing in here, you're going to be like, what in the hell? You're like, what the hell? That's the tiling. So if you use 8192 in this one 8192 image, and it's going to be 8192. Now this thing, we probably adjust the height more. Let's see here. Go back to ground model type. What kind of ground model do you want it to be? dirt, dusty, loose, for example. You can do that. I'm going to save this. Let me go back to the terrain here. And in the inspector window for the terrain block, I'm going to change the base texture size to 4K. That won't go up to 8K. That's high as it'll go. You can also change your elevation here. And if you're one of those type that just love taking screenshots and you want to see the map at its absolute highest quality, for the terrain block anyway, change the screen error to 0. You can look at the poly count up there and see how many more polys we get when you change it to 0. But it's no LOD management at all on the terrain block now. What you see is 100% terrain block. No LOD management whatsoever. If you have an old computer and you need more performance, then change that to a higher number, and it'll be more aggressive LOD management, and you'll get a better frame rate. A lot of people don't realize that because the default's 16, but you can go up to about 512, I think is the max. So if you need an extra bit of GPU performance or whatnot, that can help you there. Let's do one more thing with this. Let's put the fog back because I'm tired of looking at that background back there. Let's put the fog back. See, I like the fog, but I don't like it at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship, you know. It's a necessity, but I'm not crazy about it. You can also tell the offset to be, if you wanted the fog to start farther away from where you are, you can move it out a bit or move it closer, depending on where you want the fog to be. And of course, you can change the color. Let's go to our textures here. I got some textures there for another level that we'll use. And all I need to do is just I'm going to show you all how to do one macro map to go with that terrain paint so that it doesn't look as blurry up close. Levels, West Coast. Do I got some in here? Oh, I got my sky ball in there though. I can put that in there too. I forgot about that. Make it look a little better. Make sure the material file isn't pointing to that particular folder like it is. Yeah, you can't have that in there. You gotta have it just like that. If you want to move it to any level, you gotta take that out. Or it's gonna go there looking for it. Just make sure that you got the DAE and the textures in the same folder. If you do that. All right, let's get the texture. I downloaded a bunch of them from fab.com. Fab.com, you can get all the Megascan assets for free until the end of the year. Well, it's only like another week. These are like the textures and atlases and decals and whatnot for Unreal Engine games. But you get them all free now. Tell the price to be free. Scroll down till you see the balls. There we go. Them balls. Those are the Quixel Megascans. So they've got all these different ones, man. So we just want something that kind of looks like a rocky ground just to give that a little different look. I mean, it's really up to you what you want it to look like, of course. But I think maybe it goes for some like stone look. Like a stone, like a cliff kind of wall, jagged wall, but on the ground. Like a volcanic rock or something. How about that one? So we'll get the 4K. Now I don't know about that. I don't know. Now it looks like damn tree bark. The more I look at it, I don't like it. Let's do that one. I like that one. We'll download the 4K. You could do 8K if they had it. Yeah, they do, but I don't want to do 8K. We'll do 4K. And since we're getting the 4K, we need to set our terrain paint to 4K for the macro and decal. Macro and detail. You set those the same, whatever you rendered. Whatever you're getting, you need to set it to. I'll just extract all these and then I'll copy that folder of all that, put it in our level. Alright, back to the level. So like I said, in the terrain painter, we got 4K. We need to make that 4K. And once you change these, they all got to be that. Just keep that in mind. If you go back and change it after the fact that you got textures in there, it's going to mess them all up. They'll be black. But we're just doing the macro. So the macro, just like the base texture, you can get by with just a macro base and an ambient occlusion. So going to our level, small grid, layered rock, base color is normally what you would put for the macro base. But since it is a dark color here and a dark color there, what you really need is a high pass filter version. You may have to load it up into your 3D app, your photo editor. Let me do that real quick. Well, it's not going to do right if you don't. So take the layered rock, the base texture, load it into your photo editor, and run a high pass filter over it. So filters, enhance, high pass. Alright, then resave it or export it as, and just give it a different name. So you got, like I put a little HP so I know it's a high pass. The reason is because these colors like multiply each other. You can only have one strong, vibrant one. The rest got to be kind of like, you know, very faint. They're mostly just for the detail. You're mostly getting your color from your base map. The macro and details are just for the up close details. So let's load that again. Now you'll want to, unless you enjoy navigating through these steps, you'll want to copy this to your clipboard so you don't have to keep going back and forth. It sure would be nice if it just went to where the other one went to, but it doesn't. So copy that to your clipboard, everything but that first bracket. That way you can just keep repasting it and get right back to it. So the high pass goes to the high pass. And then go down to the ambient occlusion. And this came with an ambient occlusion. Yeah, there it is. And the scale, what scale is that going to be? We'll just leave it at 60. You see our lines and stuff in there now. Now that doesn't look as good as it could look. What I mean is, we got normal map, roughness map, and height map to add. Since we have those, of course we're going to use them. So in the normal map, the height map, the normal map, the macro normal map. God damn. That's what we're going to put in that one. And we're going to go down to the roughness, and then the macro for the roughness. Put the roughness, and then the height map. Since this doesn't really have a height map, and they don't honestly do shit in here really anyway in the game, not as far as the height map goes, All I can tell this does in here is make the edge fringe a little bit. But I can't tell that it does anything really. But I'll use something like the displacement for the height map. Now these aren't true grayscale. They would be red if they were, but it'll still work. Once this saves, you'll see the normal mapping and all that working on it and how it makes it look a lot better, right? Now you can get even closer. You can have it have another layer of detail in addition to that. So you get far away, you see the big picture. You get a little closer, and then your macro starts to come in. And if you want to get even closer and put in another layer, you can do that too. Now I'm going to put my ball in there. And we should give it a test drive, and that'll be it for this one. So we'll go get our sky ball here. It ain't got no material on it. That damn bastard. See, man, I get these problems too, just like you do. We all get them. We all get them. If you ain't got them, you ain't lying. You do too got them. We all get them. And if you don't get them, then you ain't working hard enough. That's the way I see it. Let's load that ball in the blender. You know what? We just make a new ball. Some of y'all might want to know how to make a sky ball. I guess I'll show you how to make a new sky ball. You basically delete that shit. Add a mesh UV sphere. I'll usually that's 32. You can do another subdivision if you want, but you don't really need to. Shade it smooth, and then go to edit mode and hit A to select all. Mesh normals flip. What that did basically is it flipped the normals around so that the inside is blue and the outside is red. And then you name it. And then give it a texture name. Texture name being something unique. And base color, where I get mine from is polyhaven.com. You can get them at a few different places actually. But I've already downloaded some. You'll want to download the 16K images. They look better. So we'll load the one I've already got. I'm going to go to that website, and that'd take longer to explain that too. Let me know if you need help with that, though. I can help you with it. If this is confusing, hell, it may be to some folks. So let's get our texture here. Alright. Yeah, you'll want to get the tone map version, by the way, because these are HDR images. And if you don't tone map and you don't have HDR, it's going to look crazy. So that's what you'll get in the game now. So we need to export it. And since we made a new one, export DAE and put it in your level, but in a new folder. Just make a new folder. Alright, off it goes. Back to the game. We'll go back to here and refresh directory. So there's a new one there that we just made. Double click on it. We can delete the one that's not any good. Or we won't delete it. I don't know. Change the scale of your ball to like 3,500. Now you can see how that already is looking lovely. Now what I'll do is go to the material editor for the ball. I'll change it to PBR 1.5. I'll copy the color map and I'll paste that in the emissive, and also paste it in the ambient occlusion. And then I'll usually adjust this one to that and then make that one go up. Now if it was a sunny day and you wanted it to bloom, you would increase the color thing well beyond the 255 to get a glowing look. But this is more like a nighttime kind of deal. A stormy day. You can adjust the different things to see what works for you. That by itself does not look good. I can tell you that. I don't care for that by itself. So I have to, normally what I got to do is I got to adjust them by using the game clouds. So I'll go down to advanced, tell it to be lerp alpha, and then adjust the opacity so it's a little bit less, like 85.85. Then go and, if you don't already have one, create a cloud, basic cloud layer. Go to the inspector for that cloud layer, and you can see the sky in there now, right? You can see it. But as you adjust this and you tell it the coverage amount, you can see how you can use it to alter the how bright or how dark the sky is. I wouldn't suggest doing any crazy colors, because those colors for some reason multiply on the car reflection and make it look like really crazy looking for some reason. I'm going to duplicate this one. Oh yeah, I forgot. Damn. I don't know why, but small grid does not show you the whole. It doesn't show you everything for some reason. You got to tell it to show you the entire scene tree, because for whatever reason when you make stuff in here, it does not show up like it's supposed to in there most of the time. So you got to say show complete scene tree, and then you can type in your cloud and see your cloud layer that you just made. I don't know why it's like that. It's one of the crazy things about small grid. I don't even see it. I just see one in here. Just make another one. Yeah, this thing's kind of weird like that. Not sure why it's like it is, but see, now we got that nice darkness from the original image. The fog. Let's go to the fog. If you turn off the fog, you can see how it does not blend very well. You need some kind of fog. Let's see here. You can add a water plane. I like the water blocks better than I like the planes. because they're a little more, they got a little more to them. Maybe they take up more performance and whatnot, but I like them. Remember too how far you got your map set to is in your level info if you want to be able to see beyond 4,500 meters, and you could adjust that here. I'm going to make the ball a little smaller. Sky ball. See, you can, like, while you're moving around, it does look like the clouds move. Because it's an object now. It's not just a cube map. It's something that's actually there that you can move around, and it moves. I'll sometimes go to Material Editor for this, and I'll animate it. What I'll do is I'll do a scroll and a wave, but I'll only move it just a small amount. You don't want to move it a lot, or you'll see it moving. It's you move it just enough that it's very subtle, where you think you might be seeing it move, but you're not quite sure. And then if you duplicate it, and then you slightly rotate just a bit, one of them, just like 0.05 or 0.1, it'll slightly offset one from the other. And you go back to your material, adjust the opacity, because the more you put the more darker or lighter it's going to be depending on what you're using. And don't forget you got your clouds too that you can adjust. But enough of that. Come back to that another day. The water, let's lower that. Alright, let's see. Let's make that bigger than that. Now there is an issue. I haven't saved in a while, so if this crashes, oh well. I think it's gonna crash. I made the water block too big. It's 100,000 meters. What I was gonna say is that sometimes the alpha from the water and the alpha from that sky don't like one another. You gotta tell one of them to be like Z, what they call it, Z some shit. I think Z buffer, or maybe it is. Also, them sky balls, they can be aggravating if you're messing with particles, since particles are transparent too. The game doesn't do well with transparent in front of transparent. I don't know if it's an optimized thing they did or what. Oh yeah, there is another thing too. I always forget about it. If we didn't lock up yet, it's thinking about it though. It wants to lock up so bad. For some reason. I'm probably out of memory. I'm probably out of memory. Yeah, 98% memory. I got two blenders running, and Gip's running. Damn thing gets like this, man. You